Hello and welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. Just before we get underway, you may have already observed, we are missing one of our valuable team members. Jack Speechley, unfortunately, cannot be with us anymore.
Work has called him in.
No,
he's here in spirit. He's here in spirit.
He's watching over us. No, he is safe and well. He is just held back at work. So The show must go on, especially with the big blockbuster this Friday night that Carlton are playing in as well. I feel so naked without a hat too. Might be sad. All right, just before we get underway, we'd like to thank everyone on behalf of Mitch, Ethan, and Jack, as who cannot be here. We'd like to thank everyone for your love and support. We have reached 100 subscribers on YouTube, which is a small step to greatness, I might add.
Greatness.
So, yeah,
very good.
Thank you to everyone. And, we'll continue putting out videos and,
Hopefully get somewhere.
Hopefully get somewhere, exactly right. All right, so we'll get underway now. So we'll kick it off with the last time we met. We are, of course, previewing the Carlton versus St Kilda game. Last time we played them was obviously last year. We lost 55-73. So what's that, 18 points? They led the whole game. Few interesting sort of things that I picked up on when I had a little look through the stats were Sam Walsh had 13 disposals and Harry was kept goalless. Philp played his second game and, of course, hasn't played a game since. He kicked a goal as well. Will Setterfield was where our goals came from. He kicked 2, which is concerning. And players that played in that game that aren't playing at the moment is quite a long list. So it's Levi Casbolt, Williamson, Cunningham, McGovern, Simpson, Petrovski-Seaton, Murphy, Pitnet, Doherty, Gibbons, Betts, Philp, and Setterfield. So there's only 10 players I could count that were playing in that game that are playing this week, boys. How do you feel? Like, sort of, would you read into that much, or what do you think that's down to? Just injuries, or?
Yeah, a bit of both actually. The positive thing is we've got one man coming back. I'm sure everyone knows.
Don't mention
Mitchy boys whipped up a ripper montage or highlight reel, as you call it. But Charlie Kerno back into the lineup, who didn't play last year against the Saints.
Yep.
That's huge. The positive thing is for me is there's younger blokes playing, like the young, not too young, but the next gen are playing. We're not relying on the old fellas like Nerfs and Levi's and Eddies. We've got Josh Honey, Lockie O'Brien.
He's just kept his spot. He's just kept his spot as well. Which is good.
So obviously he was supposed to be outmanaged last week, and obviously he, with a late out, he did play the game, so he wasn't managed for too long at all. Didn't miss out on the game at all. So we will go into our ins and outs. So just out for us, there is quite a few. So medical sub, obviously Mark Murphy, but he's named as an emergency this week, so you would assume he gets the medical sub role again this week.
One question. For last week's game, what were our thoughts about his impact from halftime?
Oh, not much, to be fair.
Not much.
I mean, the time that he came on, halftime when Williams randomly went off and no one knew why. He didn't have the impact. Like he had his opportunity there. He probably didn't have the impact that we would hope. But what about you, man? What was your thoughts?
Yeah, it was. It's hard to judge. Like I was saying before, it's hard to judge when, our intensity most of the game was, terrible.
Exactly.
He wasn't great, Murph. I think you can definitely tell he's really close to finishing up. Like, good on him. He's done pretty well. Injuries have got to him, I think, over the last 5-6 years.
Exactly right.
Before that, he was elite. What are your thoughts, Pato? What were your thoughts on having him as medical sub and him coming in at halftime?
Yeah, well, was there talks during the week about Teague saying that he wasn't actually 100% fit? That's why he was medical sub. Why are we playing him then?
Yeah.
That's what I don't. Because to me, that looks like that we're trying to get him to 300.
Yeah.
He should deserve to get to 300. Let's be real. As much as we love Murphy, I'm one of his biggest supporters. he should be deserving because he's pretty much keeping an Owies, not an Owies, like a Honey or a Kemp. Like he's keeping those guys out. So I don't know how to say about that. Yeah. So then when Murphy, but then like when Murphy came on, he only had 10 touches. So obviously for a midfielder or whatever he's a mid forward, that's not enough impact. And I don't think he led a tackle, did he? Don't think he did.
I don't think many of our players like to tackle.
That's true.
But we'll move on.
So hold on, just real quick. So with what Mitch was saying, are you saying basically, just sort of summarize, are you saying that they're basically gifting him games to get him to 300? Like, should he be playing or even should he even be medical sub?
I hope they're not.
Understanding he's played almost 300 games. He's been around a long time. He's grade 7 in the club. Put that to the side. Should he be playing off ability at the moment?
No. If he's not 100% fit, he should not be on the field. Quite simple.
No, I agree. All right, so I was saying, so Murph, medical sub, so we assume he will be again. Zach Williams is, of course, injured. I'm sorry, my thing. Eddie Betts injured, Cottrell omitted, and Samo Petrevski-Seaton is omitted as well. Has he played his last game for the Carlton Football Club?
That's what I was about to say. That's a big one. That's a big omission. So I reckon now...
he's in trouble.
Yeah.
He's in trouble. He, for me, on the weekend, I know the whole team as a whole to blame. I'm not trying to single players out, but I think he was on the edge. Was brought back a bit, back onto land a bit, but that performance, he fell off a cliff. Sorry, but it's not on. Like people, talk about his position, like he was playing down back. I completely get that. Now he's playing a midfield forward role, which we all thought, geez, he'll be good now. And what's he done?
Exactly right.
Sorry.
He's had opportunities, I reckon. But I agree.
Yeah.
All right, now moving on to our in. So Harry is back in. Obviously he was out last week, late out with the toe injury. We'll wait and see if he's allowed again this week. Look, it's Carlton Football Club. If they literally an hour before the game say he's not playing, I don't think we'd be insanely shocked. But how do you feel about that? Obviously it's great to have Harry back, but you're saying it's only a toe injury. You were saying earlier, Daff, so he's definitely 100% fit. And you agree with that, Mitch, or is he 100% fit to go?
I mean, Andrew Russell was saying during the week that he wasn't going to be fit, did he? I swear he said something like that on someone.
On the outside chance or something.
Yeah. Outside chance. So now, like, all of a sudden he's fit. I mean, I love it. I mean, like, obviously, but I'm kind of a little bit concerned, especially going off last week with Murphy. Last week with Murphy, then T coming out the week after saying, "Oh no, he actually wasn't 100% fit." So it's hard to. Mackay and Curnow boys, they're back.
Yeah. So obviously the next year is Charlie Curnow back off. Hasn't played in basically best part of 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, 782 days or something like that.
Yeah, and then obviously Mitch's mate Lockie O'Brien is back in the team.
Mr. O'Brien.
With also the inclusion of Joshua Honey, which is good.
Very well deserved. Very well deserved. Yep. Very well.
We might be a player sponsor of Josh Honey. He's at the club next year.
Well, big chance, I reckon. Here's an interesting stat that has been sent through to me by Mr. Ethan Daffy. So Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay have played 24 out of a possible 124 games together. Is that correct?
Unbelievable.
Yes.
And then obviously touching on that, which I found even more surprising, McGovern, Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay have only played together in the navy blue jumper 8 times. That is not many games.
That is
it's not great, is it?
And McGovern was a big recruit. And
Yeah, I guess Charlie probably plays a big part in that stat as well.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But I think if we have all three fit and ready round 1 next year, because I believe in McGovern. I really do. Like I think perfect third tall. He's perfect third. Very agile type of player. Hopefully he's fit. He looked fit this year.
He looked all right. Yeah.
He looked good for a few games.
He did. What's the word? He's only a couple of weeks away, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. So I think he'll probably play a scratch match or 2. Knowing Carlton
this week,
played in, but
this week will he be playing this week as a scratch So will he
Yeah.
probably play?
No.
Oh, so
Oh, is
scratch
he?
this week.
I
No,
thought he was
VFL.
That's
Yeah.
good then. That's good.
I thought he was 1 to 2 weeks away from even playing VFL. You're saying he's playing VFL this week.
He will be playing VFL this week.
That's good.
He said in
That's
his
good.
press conference he was either, well, he said due to the situation we're in, he's almost a chance to play AFL.
Yeah, I heard that.
I'd imagine he's playing twos based on that comment. He was going to get almost picked.
Okay, so now moving on to the Saints ins and outs, boys. So obviously very handy ins for St Kilda with Hunter Clark, Jack Higgins, Rowan Marshall, and Tom Highmore all coming in. And their outs are Cooper Sharman, Jack Sinclair, Nick Caulfield, Oscar Claverino, and Paul Hunter. So obviously not too many experienced players out, but they brought in a lot of experienced players in. So what are your thoughts, Sammy?
Yeah, out of that whole list, probably of ins for the Saints, the one that worries me the most is probably Jack Higgins. So just the year we're having, the last few games that we're having, he's sort of the type of player that will kick 7 or 6. Especially conceding 116 points to North Melbourne last week. I'm a little bit worried, but wait and see. What about you, Daff?
Yeah, I agree with you there. He could be Suvalaki, second edition Suvalaki. But yeah, names that pop out to me is Hunter Clark, Jack Higgins, and Rowan Marshall.
Yeah.
They're massive ins for them. I think Marshall's a good young ruckman. It'll be a good contest actually between him and Big Tommy DeConning.
It will be.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, we just got to be able to minimise guys like Hunter Clark and Jack Steele's use. Make sure their use isn't, hitting the forward line. Make sure they're getting the ball half back rather than, through the middle of the ground where they're, hitting up forwards like big Maxi King. Is it Max King who plays the Saints or Ben?
I get him confused every time.
Maxi. It's Maxi King.
Maxi.
But Harry Mackay. Sorry, Woodsy. But good ins for the Saints and probably good outs as well.
Absolutely.
Marshall replacing Big Paul Hunter, who's the second ruck, and Jack Sinclair goes all right usually.
Yeah. So I reckon that's one of the more experienced outs that they probably But I reckon we should move on to the key matchup staff. So who do you have for the key matchups?
Here we go. Let's get them up here. We'll go to Mackay versus Callum Wilkie. I think Wilkie's had a great year. He's quite underrated. Saints supporters really like him, the way he goes about it. But I think Harry will be, pretty hungry for a few goals after watching that abysmal performance last week, especially the forward entries. Geez, I'm sure they've had a chat about that. What do you reckon about that matchup? How do you reckon Big H will go? Because I don't want to jinx it.
I obviously, his first week back now. He had a week off last week. I think he'll kick 4 goals. That's my big call.
Ooh.
I reckon he'll go all right. He's having a good year. He's having a solid year. He's still leading the Coleman by
fair bit,
goals, I believe.
Yeah.
7.
I reckon Harry will go all right. What do you reckon, Mitch?
Last week I jinxed us all by saying Harry Cole would kick fucking 80 on his brother. So it's a tough one because also Harry Mackay is also coming off a toe injury, but he's only been out for a week. So I reckon he probably should kick 2 to 3. But that's what he usually does. Like say our bad games that we call Harry, like some of Harry's bad games is when he kicks out 2 or 3. So I just find that unbelievable. But
so it'll be interesting. We'll move on to the next matchup. This has been always a good matchup against the Saints, and it's Jack Steele versus our skipper Patrick Cripps. What do we think, boys? What do we think?
You go, Mitchie.
Well, shout out to Blue Brawl once again, Terry. With his review during the week, with his preview during the week, he actually mentioned how Jack Steele 2 or 3 years ago was actually tagging Paddy Cripps. But now he did mention how Steele's gone past him. I reckon he's gone past him as well. So it's a big test for Cripper, I feel, because I feel that he's had some sort of scrutiny during the week about the media. Not so much the media, but just I feel like Teague is probably pointing him out and said, we need you to lift. We need you to lift. Yeah. But then like if he's 100% fit, show us. Go out there, show us.
Yeah, it'll be great for him to be back in the middle also. So we'll move on to another matchup through the middle of the ground. This actually, it's not a 1v2 as such, but it is Tommy DeConnie against both rucks in Ryder and Marshall.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good 1-2 punch between Paddy Ryder and Marshall. They were very good last year, especially, winning a final against the Dogs last year. What do you reckon, boys? Like, how do you reckon Tommy will go? Who do you reckon will be the backup ruck? Will it be Sauce again?
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, it's a bit worrying, isn't it? Who do we really have other than Sauce?
Yeah, the positive thing is, at least if you've got Sauce in the ruck, you've still got Harry and Kerno.
Harry and Charlie, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, exactly
put
right.
Sauce in the ruck. Because Sauce has actually been all right. Like, he hasn't got as many hit outs, but I love the competitiveness when it goes on the ground.
Can you afford to play one of them in the ruck now? Or not? Like Harry or Charlie?
Oh, no.
I don't want to risk it. Nah. Yeah.
Not Charlie. So, no, obviously not Charlie, but like...
Yeah, but not Harry either. I want to keep Harry forward.
Structure-wise, I don't think you can.
Yeah.
That's why Levi is sometimes important as a second ruck. But, as long as Tommy's holding up well when he's in the ruck.
Exactly right.
Because we're really struggling through the middle of the ground.
Yeah, we are.
And also, it's just the ruck battles are important. Don't get me wrong, but I think the midfield needs to be switched on as well. Like even when if they win, a lot of games, Grundy versus DeConing, Grundy had more hit outs, but it's more where he's hitting
where it goes.
At least if we're not getting it, at least lay the tackle. Otherwise, if we're just letting them hit it straight to their teammate and then they're just running away with it, we need to lay the tackles and otherwise get the ball. It's not always who's getting the hit outs, it's the effectiveness of the hit outs as well.
We'll move on. This is a tough one. I think Weitering, I don't know who's going to take.
King.
He needs. I think he'll take
King.
King.
Yeah,
I think he'll take King.
Yeah,
and he needs a massive performance, Waiters, because he struggled last week. We all love him, mind you. We all love him, but we can't accept that.
But he's the type of guy to respond. Like he's the type of guy to say, I'm going to keep King to 1 or 2 disposals without him kicking the goal. Like he's the type of guy to be like that, which you love. You love seeing that. Yeah. So I reckon he will respond.
What do you reckon, Sammy? How do you reckon he'll go on Big Maxi King, who's having a pretty good?
Yeah, I agree with Mitch. He's this kind of player, kind of leader as well that will respond. And hopefully shut him down. Who's the better King though? Real quick, who's the better King?
Max currently.
The guy who's playing on the weekend, Ben. Is that the guy who's playing on the weekend?
I hope Ben's playing, but
yeah, we good. No, I think he'll come out. I mean, it can't all be down to Weitering as well. I think Plowman and just our whole back line, structurally, and then also just the team defense in general. Exactly right. Was piss poor to say the least.
That's the matchups.
Beautiful. All right, so we will move on to under the pump. Mitch, who do you have, mate?
So under the pump, mine's a little bit different this week. So obviously, if Lockie O'Brien's playing, I feel like he's under the pump because Teague is pointed at him saying, you have the last 4 or 5 games, how many we have? 4. You go out there, you show us what you've got. You play for a spot in this list for next year because if you don't perform, you're out next year. Quite simple. Yeah. And I reckon Lockie O'Brien is definitely under the pump. Not particularly this game, but I feel like it really does start for this game for the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. But Lockie O'Brien, he's under the pump big time. I think he will not be a Carlton next year. And I've put this, stamp the delisting. I think he's gone, unfortunately, for Lockie. Because it's
unfortunate. Yeah.
I saw it, my brother before. You don't want to see guys you draft and they don't turn out well. Like we all want the best for them.
Such a high pick, mate. Like pick 10. Yeah. Pick 10.
I 100% agree, but it gets to the point, especially now, more so than ever, we need to sort of, I guess, face reality and just sort of be somewhat harsh on these players, like instead of keep giving chances after chances after chances. Like, it's unfortunate, but I agree with you. I don't think it'll be there next year. Touch on it too much, obviously. We've sort of spoke about it a few times, but the performance last week was dismal, and you have to be under the pump. It's getting absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You agree, Mitch?
Yep. I mean, they can't. I don't think they actually this is once again Terry, but he once again said they don't actually have the mental state to put that performance out again this week. They actually do not know what it takes, because if they do that shit again next week, I reckon there could be some sort of lighting and icon play. I don't even know, boys, but fuck, if they need a response. Quite simple.
Yeah, and I'm sick of responding as well.
Oh,
like,
we
shouldn't be.
Well said, mate. I agree. So for under the pump, I mean, I sort of spoke about it a little bit, just sort of our backline, Plowman, Weitering, and then also Jones. Just 116 points in North Melbourne. We sort of touched on it already, so we won't go into too much detail, but we need to be better defensively. All right, beautiful. Let's move on to some questions that have been sent in from the fans. So Riley Burke, shout out to Riley. What's the key to stopping the Saints? Daff, go to you, mate.
Wow. It's the one negative we have every week, and that's just controlling the corridor. Being able to stop their use through the corridor, leading to goals. We've just got to be able to stop it. I don't know if we're going to figure it out in the next 4 weeks, but it has to be figured out during the off season. If Teague is still at the football club, it's got to be figured out. Whether that being through, obviously new assistant coaches, new defensive coaches, etc. But I think we've been really found out through the new rules, especially. I think if that stand rule didn't exist, I think we would be higher. That's just being optimistic, but it's just the way the game moves. It's much quicker. Like, you aren't able to cover space on the mark so much.
Yeah, spot on.
I think a few teams rely on that. But just being able to stop the corridor, done.
We'll move on to Barney Hamilton. I believe that's your mate, isn't it, Mitch?
Barney, shout out to Barney, mate. Massive Carlton supporter.
Oh, yeah? beautiful. Love to hear. All right, so who are we keeping / delisting out of the 20 players who are without a contract for next year?
I've actually just got lists. I've done a quick research. I've got the full list. Final year of contracts, which was the beginning of this year. So we've got Brody Kemp, who's in his final year of his contract. Obviously, I reckon he'll stay. Do you reckon he'll stay, boys?
Yeah, 100%.
Next is Eddie Betts. Will Eddie Betts be staying at football club next year? Yes or no?
He'll be at the footy club next year, yes.
As a player.
He'll be playing next year. Okay. Yes, I reckon he will be.
I feel like he needs to retire personally, because that is another year of development of the Honeys or the Owies or the Carrolls or all the players. I think
that's a good point.
Quite simple.
Yeah, that's good. Because he can still help develop them from
Of course.
I want him to finish. I want him to finish on a high. I think it's done. Ed Kerner.
One more year.
Yeah, one more year, I'd say.
I'm split on this, but I'll follow the cattle, and it'll be one more year. Who else have we got? We've got Levi Casbolt.
Gone. If he wants to keep on playing, trade him. I feel like he would have some sort of value. Some sort.
It's actually sort of tough for me, because, I don't know if
he's unrestricted free agent, so I don't think we can trade him.
No,
that's right.
Sauce long-term ruck, but I hope Murkov is. Yeah, I was in Pitt as well. Sorry. Okay. Levi's gone.
He's got to go. We cannot hold these players anymore.
Yeah, he's gone. Right, so we will move on now to our predictions. I have changed my predictions off the back of one big inclusion. I'm going optimistic, but I want to hear from Daff first, because I'm keen to hear this.
I'm usually optimistic, aren't I, boys? I've changed my mind. I've been thinking about this whole episode.
Yeah,
been multitasking in my brain. They're sucking me in, this team. They're sucking me in.
Charlie's back. Harry.
Yeah, there's a bit of energy with
Honey O'Brien.
A bit of energy with Honey and O'Brien.
Go on, go big.
Oh, not big, but...
Yeah, not big. Don't go big.
Blues is big enough. Blues by 4.
4 points.
4 points. I was going to put this down by 38, but Blues by 4.
That's close to what I've got. Mitch, what do you have, mate?
Blue Baggers by 16. Blue Baggers by 16. I did actually put 6 points, but I'm like, well, I don't see Carlton winning a close game because you haven't fucking done that all year. But I reckon.
That's right, isn't it? We haven't won a close one.
We haven't won a close one because
positive in a way. At least our wins are kind of, but we don't have enough wins.
Yeah, but last year I feel
No
like every
such thing as
single
honourable
game.
losses. No such thing as honourable losses anymore.
Last year I feel like
Yeah.
every single game was close though. Last year I
Yeah,
felt like every
fucking
fucking
hell,
game was a
man.
fucking it was bullshit.
Every
But,
game.
Also Josh Honey to kick 2. I feel like he's probably earned that spot, so hopefully he can follow on. And as I mentioned before, Lockie O'Brien, I feel like he probably, I mean, this is more kind of hope because I love Lockie O'Brien, but I feel like he impresses and I feel like he'll get picked for next week and hopefully earns his spot for next year.
Beautiful. Well, so, mate, Daff, did you have a player prediction or?
Player prediction, Charlie Curnow to sit on a St Kilda defender's head.
Who give
Just
us
hope
that?
he lands safely.
It'll be a pack, all right? It'll be a long ball. It'll be a long ball like we usually do to no one. And Charlie will jump on Paddy Ryder's head. How about that?
Oh, Paddy Ryder.
My prediction is, so I do have 2 sets of notes. One that I wrote before I knew Charlie was playing, like before it was confirmed, that has Saints by 13.
Yep.
Blues by 32. Lids off.
Fuck!
Oh, what's he doing to himself?
He is an 8-goal difference. He is an 8-goal difference, that man.
Yeah.
He probably
And
is.
then this leads into my next one. Sauce and H to combine for, stuff 5 goals, to combine for 6 goals.
Jeez, he's gone big. He's gone from 5 to 6.
He's entering his Duffy.
At the end of every game, especially against North Melbourne, I'm like, we can't go in with hopes. We can't go in with belief. Yeah. And there it is. Blues by 32. Sauce to combine for 6.
2 inclusions. How much
what
is
am I
that
doing?
Your outlook on footy? Really?
Oh, fuck.
One of them's Charlie Curnow, though.
Yeah,
it's what we needed, though. Like, I feel like we just needed, especially from last week, we just needed that.
They always
Charlie fucking, I know.
Just for, and also for a confidence thing, Charlie needs to play the last few games. Beautiful, boys. Well done. It hasn't been the same without Jack, but
of course,
we got through it and it was good. All right. Anything else to add? All right. So we will say, if you aren't already, be sure to chuck us a like on Facebook, Instagram. We're on everything: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Spotify, YouTube.
You
Tinder,
name it. You
like
name
just
it.
everything.
Tinder.
Everything. Hey.
Yeah, but then what I was about to say, Sammy, you're of course going on Blue Abroad this week to join Riley as a co-host. I know that you're very nervous about it, but mate, you'll absolutely smash it, mate.
Of course he will.
Still doesn't get nervous, mate. This big fella. Yeah, it will be interesting because he does it Saturday mornings,
after the game,
which is usually always just before a game. But we have big blockbuster this week.
I'm playing Friday. Yeah, how the fuck do we get a blockbuster?
It's the Olympics, isn't it? Is that right? Am I right in saying it's the Olympics? No one to be watching. Besides, we'll probably be the only 3 people watching. No. Hopefully the boys can get it done. I'm a little bit scared. I'm worried. But as always,
go the Mighty Blues.
Oh, I'm too short.